different artists with heart. So it is close to Valentine's Day, so we are going to talk about artists that use hearts in their work. It's kind of a crash course on a lot of different artists. We're going to go through it kind of fast, but you can pause and stop and look at different images if you'd like to. So here we go. Jim Dine is a famous artist who grew up in Ohio, which is very close to Michigan here, just south of Michigan. He did all kinds of art and loved symbols. So symbols represent something else. He especially loved hearts. They were his favorite symbols. Symbols are pictures that represent something. What would a heart symbol mean to you? Perhaps love, friendship, kindness, respect, persevering through tough times. So he used a lot of different textures, a lot of different materials to collage and make all sorts of different hearts. So he repeated that over and over. So different size, different color, but the same shape has rhythm. All right. Dine's use of iconic forms and repeated symbols attempted to understand how images create meaning. So if you see the heart, you automatically think of those things we talked about, like friendship, love, kindness, all those things just by looking at the heart shape. But he would single out those simple shapes and objects, depict them over and over, because that's what's important for artistic study, kind of repeating images to have a motif or a theme. And that was his jam, was using hearts. Wasily Kandinsky. Wasily, what a funny name, a silly name. He was a Russian artist who loved painting and music. He believed that shapes and colors can make perfect paintings all by themselves. His work started the whole abstract art movement. So it's not representing something specific like a person or an animal or a landscape or anything like that. He just used shapes, and he would actually listen to music and then kind of paint or draw what he felt from the music. So he'd kind of be drawing and painting beats and rhythms in that music. And you know what? You can make hearts of any color that you choose, because that's kind of how he felt with his art. Shapes can be any size, any color, any texture. And if you're looking back at Jim Dine, is he abstract as well? Yeah, it would be kind of abstract, because actually that's not how the human heart actually looks. It's just a symbol created to represent the heart. So there you go. Moving on. Keith Haring. Keith Haring went to art school in Philadelphia and New York. He loved colorful cartoons and symbols as well. So you can see some of these symbols. Wings are like a symbol of flying and like angels. This is a symbol of a dog. And then, of course, the heart, again, love, respect, kindness, friendship. He actually started most of his work in the subways of New York City. He would just kind of draw and paint and make murals and little cartoons. And he draws these like simple figures over and over and over, kind of making a rhythmic pattern. But they never have faces. So they're just like little anonymous friends running around. And then he loved action lines. So just like in comics, action lines represent movement or emotion and things like that. So you can see like the hearts are shining because they have like the action lines coming off of them. The wings are flapping, so they have action lines. This heart guy's running, so he has action lines. Even the sound is represented from the dog's bark with action lines. So line creates movement and also patterns at the same time. So cool stuff there. Here's some more work by Keith Haring. Even these little flower heads are symbols as well. A dolphin jumping out on this guy, a two-headed dog. So you can see the action lines are everywhere. And he just never stopped painting, and you can see he's got paint all over his pants. Amazing. All right, Chris UPHUES, a very popular artist right now. Chris UPHUES went to art school in Chicago. Now's a designer and painter in New York City. He loves pop culture, comics, cartoons, kind of like Keith Haring loves the cartoons and comics too. Chris UPHUES' creations always have cartoon faces and expressions. He loves hearts. He is so popular right now and sells so many stickers and keychains and even furniture and toys and prints and paintings. The list goes on and on. So he is very popular and famous right now. I will link some of these links here. He has a website and also like there's a little video about him too. So Super popular right now. So here's some more of his work. This is from like his Instagram. So again, same shape, but different emotions, different details, different colors, different sizes. It has rhythm, it's repetition, and it's very cartoony and fun and just happy. So very cool. All right, so we could make a color wheel with Chris UPHUES hearts and emotions. So if we have 6 main colors on the color wheel, try to think of 6 different emotions or expressions. So we're thinking cartoony, but we're also using some emotions. Here's some different ideas here, like happy, sad, angry, confused, surprised, laughing, sleeping, scared, wacky. So you can have action lines. You can use emotions to kind of tell a story and also to express your little character. So we're kind of comic booky, emotion, expression, action, all at once. So then in person, we rotated around the room and painted the hearts at the different colored tables. One for each of the primary colors, red, yellow, blue, and secondary colors, green, violet, purple, and orange. And then we cut them and glue them in color wheel order. Yellow's always at the tip top. And then warm colors on one side, cool colors on the other side, and they're always across from their complementary color. Boom. So orange and blue are complements, red and green, yellow, purple. Yellow plus red equals orange, yellow plus blue equals green, red plus blue equals purple. Color theory with Chris UPHUES. And then here's some amazing student examples. You can see the amazing expressions, details, patterns, and action lines, and perfect color order. Well done. All right, Jay Goldcrown is also a very, very popular artist right now. He was born in London. He's a self-taught artist. He's a fashion photographer. He's a mural street artist. He collaborates with famous companies who want to use his work all the time. So you can see his work. He spray paints a lot on walls, but they've used so many of his paintings, and he loves hearts too. These are like called the bleeding heart because he uses spray paint while it's still wet. He like lets it drip down, and then the colors start to mix. So it's dripping and blending. So famous companies, they want to put his work on their products, their packaging, their shoes, their clothes, their bags. He's all over the place. So you may have seen this before and just didn't know that it was Jay Goldcrown. So here's some student examples. We use some chalk and then a blending technique to kind of look as if we spray painted black paper, and we put it all together, looking good. All right, Robert Indiana. Robert Indiana is an American pop artist. He called himself a painter of signs. He used popular images, words, and symbols in his work. He also assembled objects like a 3D collage and painted and drew all sorts of things as well. He especially liked the word love, and he loved using numbers as well. So he kind of was obsessed with numbers and short words so that he could use them repeatedly in his work. So he creates rhythm and pattern with numbers and letters. And here's like a collage sculpture, putting some strange things together. But then the love is his most famous paintings and sculptures. He even made sculptures of the word love. And he always tilts that O in love off to the side. So it's the circle of O, but then the middle is like a sideways diagonal oval, like that. So here's a sculpture of that love. So we just saw the painting on this side, and then he also makes sculptures of it all over. That O is tilted. Here's a quote from the artist Robert Indiana. It says, "Some people like to paint trees. I like to paint love. I find it more meaningful than painting trees." So for him, he wanted to be more abstract. He wanted to paint and express love and emotion instead of just natural landscapes outside. And it's totally fine to love painting trees, but he just wanted to paint love by literally painting the word love. So look at all the different versions, all the different rhythm and patterns, and I give an example of how he stylized all his numbers. So if you wanted to include numbers, you could come back here and pause it, and you could see exactly how he made a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then a 0. These are all the numbers you would need, and you could make any other number in his style that way. Also, so many different ways to write the word love with different colors. You could also think of other words like kind. That's a four-letter word. Team. You could think of more four-letter words that are positive and uplifting, just like love, just like Robert Indiana. Here's some other examples from the book, My Heart is Like a Zoo, where the artist collaged animals by only using heart shapes. So it's kind of like a challenge for you. Can you cut out a bunch of hearts and turn them into animals or creatures or any other object? So personally, I thought, hey, maybe I could use hearts to make the lion on the cover. And you see his nose is a heart. Hearts to make a pinguino, a penguin, and a little owl baby. So I cut out a bunch of different hearts and then collaged them, glued them together to make different creatures. And actually, you can cut into your hearts too. I cut some little triangle pieces out so that it would look more like a mane, but you can see the whole thing was an orange heart. So be creative. That is a challenge for sure. Here's my take on Jim Dine. I broke up my paper into like a checkerboard. So I used a ruler and some math, and then I used a bunch of different objects to collage and then draw on top. I used some pipe cleaner. I used some buttons. I used some foam shapes. I used some tissue paper and then oil pastels and marker on top, just to make a lot of different textures and layers, just like Jim Dine would do. And then here's student examples. Even got some googly eyes in there. We created this big mural where we all put together a image. So Gateway has heart. Oakview has heart. We soar together. Here's an example of J. Goldcrown where I kind of did the word love in cursive and then did the hearts. Those bleeding hearts I just blend with a finger there. Here's some Keith Haring works that I did. Do you notice those action lines? Remember, the animals and symbols and people do not have faces in Keith Haring works. I made a group of 4. You can make as many as you want. You could even make a little comic book with all these action lines. You could even add voice bubbles if you want. His work really lends itself to comics. Here's some more Chris UPHUES work, another little color wheel. This I just used marker and a wet paintbrush and turned that marker into paint. Here I just had a Sharpie and crayons, and I did a little positive message on a banner and then a little family of delightful heart characters. Amazing. And I loved using the primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. I love the primary colors. I love all colors. Then did a little Robert Indiana love, speaking of love, and I added my initials, and I also used marker and water here, so I blended some cool colors in the background and with marker, and then just used a wet paint brush to go over top, turn it into paint. Same thing over here, but I did collage some buttons and stuff too to make a heart a la Robert Indiana. So I told you this was going to be fast. It's a crash course of so many different artists, so much information, but you can pause and go back as needed so that you can say, hey, I'm inspired by Chris UPHUES, or maybe I like Robert Indiana, or I'm into Keith Haring, Jim Dine, Robert Indiana, whichever that J. Goldcrown, whichever you like best. You could maybe stop, pause, maybe do a little more of your own research, and then dive into a project on your own. If you like multiple artists, you could do little minis of every single one. And guess what? They would make perfect valentines or cards for like a random act of kindness. You could give a card to somebody to show how much you love and appreciate their amazingness. So keep up the good work, mis amigos. Again, pause, go through as needed. This was a crash course on a lot of artists with heart. And I know you have heart too. You are champions. Adios, amigos.